In my last video, I shared with y'all some amazing benefits of catnip. If you didn't see that, I will link it in the description box below. I told you that I would come back for a part 2, and today I want to share with you my harvest and how I am using catnip on our homestead. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're new. I'm Jerry Ann. I'm a homesteader who loves to learn about the amazing herbs and foods God has given us to nourish and heal our bodies. This passion came from years of struggling with my own health and learning to lean on the Lord for His wisdom. I've been a homeschooler for the last 23 years, and I feel it's important to pass on to my children, grandchildren, as well as other mamas the things that I have learned. Oh, catnip, how I love thee. Catnip grows quickly. It's one of the first things that pop up in spring, and before you know it, it is ready to harvest. The best time to harvest catnip is when it's beginning to flower, and though I took a lot this time, I still saved plenty for the bees because they love it. After cutting back the flowering branches, I hung some of it for a couple weeks until it was completely dry. I also removed leaves from other branches and put as much as would fit into my dehydrator. I set my dehydrator on the herb setting and allowed it to dry for several hours until it was crumbly with no moisture left. Today, I'm pulling all those dried leaves and flowers off the stems that have been hanging, and I will store them in glass jars. If I had harvested significantly more than this, I would have put the extra in mylar bags to preserve the quality of the herb for long-term storage. Now, herbs really are only good for about a year, even when you store them in mylar bags. So since my last video, I learned that catnip can be used topically for things such as hemorrhoids. For that purpose, I would make an infused oil and a subsequent soft salve. That just simply means I would take my infused oil and add a little beeswax to it to give it a little more of a solid structure. Knowing that it helped with hemorrhoids, I knew that it would be helpful for inflamed, swollen, and painful skin issues. So I decided that it would be good for me to infuse an oil to have on hand in case we needed it. After macerating the herbs a little in my mortar and pestle, I added the catnip to a jar and I topped it with organic sunflower oil. And this will infuse in a cool, dark place for around 6 weeks. Catnip can also be infused in glycerin or alcohol for a shelf-stable tincture that can be taken by mouth. Because I still have plenty growing in my gardens, I plan to use fresh leaves to make a catnip tincture in the future. Most herbs are better tinctured when the leaves are fresh, but today I decided I wanted to make an oxymel. Oxymels are infusions similar to tinctures, but instead of using alcohol, we use raw apple cider vinegar or raw honey to draw out the properties of the herbs. I thought this would be great to have on hand to add to a beverage or taken by the spoonful as needed. Having no alcohol in it, it could be great to have on hand for kiddos. Catnip is often used in colds and flu, especially since it produces perspiration-inducing sleep without increasing body temperature. Now remember that babies under the age of 1 should not consume honey. This will also infuse for around 6 weeks in that cool, dark place. These infusions that I'm working on right now, they're not stored in a proper place. The cabinet receives too much light, but they're here just very temporarily. I'm getting ready to start a project to do a makeover on this antique cabinet I found recently, and I feel like it's going to be the perfect apothecary cabinet to store my herbal infusions while they're processing. One of the most common ways catnip is used is as a tea. Historically, in early Europe, catnip was one of the most common teas in use. Before Chinese tea came available, the North American Indians predominantly used catnip. I may add herbs like chamomile or peppermint to improve the flavor and add other herbal actions. Catnip is gentle enough for me to use any time of day for tension, frazzled nerves, or in the evenings to assist in a good night's rest. Especially for situations when I've overworked myself and my muscles are tense and I feel agitated or restless. I read in the Little Herb Encyclopedia by Jack Richardson that catnip has been documented as normalizing blood pressure, and it is said that putting several drops on the back of the tongue will decrease the desire for cigarettes. I feel like I could go on and on about this amazing little herb, but I will wrap it up here. If you are not already growing catnip, I suggest that you give it a try. It grows easily in containers and it comes back year after year. Alrighty friends, thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope you will subscribe and meet me back here next time. Until then, blessings to you and yours.